Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome here to Digital Retail 2024. As shared, we are talking about revenue maximization and customer experience in shopping centers. We have a very esteemed panel of, shopping center professionals and retailers here with us today. I would just like all of you to put together a hand for our esteemed panel. So, what we thought of doing today, because a lot of people who are on our panel today come with a lot of depth of experience. So we said, let's start with talking about, how is it that in today's time when, there's so much disruption, both in technology, in customer expectations, with travel, with, seeing so many newer brands, having so many brands available online, how do we bring consumers to the mall and feel really happy, satisfied? How do we ensure that, we get a larger share of wallet? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go over to Nitin quickly. Yeah. And, Nitin, just try and understand from you, what is it that we've done at Infiniti that we felt led to higher customer satisfaction? Any one thing that you would have done which you felt was tangible to understand that, Sakshi, we did this and it kind of led to this?
We've been looking after the customer and studying what their requirements are.
Sure.
We've been starting from the customer perception to experience to exit. So you start from getting him into the mall, his experience and exit. So we start from maybe changing the parking system, more space availability, events, retail mix. There is a mix of 5 or 6 things you have to do at one go to make a customer come back to you. Yes. It's a similar brands which are at my mall a mile down the road, a mall 2 miles down the road. It's a similar brands they can shop at. It's the difference is what you're going to give them experience out things. Could be retail mix, could be the events I've done better. I've done maybe a change in my parking system and stuff, which not only means most of the malls are following the same thing out here. It's what they want is what you deliver. I'll give you an example. We did a couple of things of doing one-hour events. We decided that this is the event I created. Everybody's going online. Let's experiment with books. The books have been missing across. We did an event with Book Chore on just putting in the ATM. A lot of books are there. Let's see how many kids land up for reading books. I was surprised to understand that kids really want books or it's the parents pushing them out. We had 70,000 people in a day on a weekend just for reading books. I never thought it would be a success out there. We just experimented out. That changed the entire perception for us. Let's look at what the kids want. What do the younger generation wants, rather than looking at what the people who have the spending power or the end decision maker. Let's look at the youth, what they're looking at. So our marketing strategies, our events and planning customer experience has been based on the younger generation for the last 2 years, which is yielding good results for us.
No, I completely agree. I think focused events and, obviously customer engagement is a mix of many things and, you have to deliver to that. So, Ashish, your thoughts on this? Any 1 or 2 things that you've done that you felt led to a lot of excitement or had a, a short but a lasting impact?
See, as Nitin rightly mentioned on the marketing events, one initiative I would like to mention here, which we have not done, but we're going to do that at Mall of Dehradun, is what we are trying to make a pet creche, a pet-friendly mall, wherein, nowadays, more than a kid, you're more affectionate towards a pet, right? You treat them as a kid only, right? So most of the malls, we don't allow pets to go inside. So what we're doing is we're creating a creche, we are creating an area just outside the mall, just at the entrance of the mall, wherein you can drop in your kid, you can drop in your pet, and you can have your play time with them, and then or you can go inside, you can drop in there, and then you can go inside and do the shopping.
So the pets are going to be allowed inside?
Not inside for now, but then yes, we'll see eventually how people in Dehradun respond. But then what we have seen is, yes, people are really going towards that side. So we are making the infrastructure, we are making the hygiene factor, in that way, so that at least in future we can allow pets inside also.
Very interesting. I definitely agree with you because I do think that, pets have become such an important part of our life, especially after the pandemic. So having anything that makes the consumer feel that you're thinking about what they like, creates that engagement and that resonation. What about you, Sunil?
Yep. So two things that I can talk about that I think while we've done different events and all, we said there are many D2C brands that would probably want to experiment. They want to come, but they may not want to come. How do we give them an avenue to come? So we've got this concept of light store, which is now there across the country. It started at Orion. That's where we started. We said, let each brand be given 3 months and understand what's the performance of the brands. And if they are good, probably then we can give them space. We've already given space to one brand. There are 3 brands who've done good. They want to come. So what the benefit we've seen is these brands have a very good outreach. They get in new consumers to your mall who've been shopping online to come offline, buy their products and see the other products. So it helps us. It gets me a new consumer base. And it helps me build on my other tenant mix. That's one thing. The other thing I think is, in today's time, use of technology is something that is very important for us. So we've tied up with a third-party guy who gives us data in terms of what's my demographics, what are the brands that are most required for you, where are the consumers shopping, which markets are they going to, and where is your highest consumer base. So we did an event for kids this time. We used that, and we saw that over the last year, the kids participating in that, because we did targeted area-specific events. Our conversion for kids was 20-25% higher. So I think these are the 2 things that we've done that we've seen has helped us.
I couldn't agree more. D2C is the way to go. The amount of brands that we are also interacting with. And I think there's a method to the madness that they have,
Yes.
right? They
Yes.
know, we were in a meeting yesterday where one of the D2C brands said that we know exactly in which pin code, who wears what size, what color they like. So
Yeah.
when they're going to a particular mall, they
They've got the
exactly know
data.
how to merchandise it. So 100%.
And
I
they
think
know how to bring the new consumer there to the store. It
exactly.
gets me
The
additional
marketing
footfall.
is very targeted because they
Yes.
exactly know who are the people who
Yes.
like the brand. And I do think having offline stores as a consumer makes a lot of relatability, because a lot of times when you buy online, you don't know what to expect and you get a wrong size, etc.
Yes.
So I think it boosts the
Yes.
omni-channel strategy in a way.
Yes.
Ravinder, your thoughts on this?
So, adding on to what Nitin said, so knowing your consumer well, usually mall people doesn't commands that this is my consumer, that's my consumer. So when we feel that people coming to a center is not coming for the brand but coming for the center. This is the larger debate which I've been a part of a lot of times. But if somebody is coming to a specific brand, to a specific center, that means that center is doing something additional for him, that they are coming back to that center time and again. So reading to that sense of inclusiveness in that part, that customer feels like when it comes to mall, this is the name that pops out. And there is no second name which is even in the option. So that sense of inclusiveness and the kind of response that mall gives them back, be it through events or hyperlocal community touch-up points, promoting artisans, promoting D2C brands. So modes could be different. The end motto is very, very clear. You are responding to the requirements of your consumer. It could be in any sense. It could be either derived through my retail partners, कि भाई तुमसे ये expectation है, please ये हमें थोड़ा सा अलग करना पड़ेगा. या हम खुद उस चीज पे आगे बढ़ के बोलें कि we are taking this point, let's collaborate. So every center breathes differently, lives differently, and has their own cycle to pass through. And this has come because now the center that I've worked upon, so अब उसका पता है कि वो सोचा क्या था, बनाया क्या और चल कैसा रहा है. So उसमें कुछ गलतियां हुई, कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी थी जो हमें नहीं करनी चाहिए थी, बट आउट ऑफ बिकॉज वो दिल्ली के टॉप सेंटर्स में थी तो हमने की. शायद उस मार्केट के लिए वो ठीक नहीं थी, कोर्स करेक्शन हुआ, रिवीजन कर रहे हैं. बट यू शुड रीड द मार्केट वेल एंड यू शुड एक्ट स्विफ्टली ऑन दैट, व्हाटएवर इट टेक्स.
One thing that I'd like you to talk about knowing your consumer and reading the market well, is the new center that you're coming up with, the air control, the AQI control.
Yes.
So where
So
it
that
comes to
was
knowing
one.
your consumer,
When Delhi hits its peak of 500 plus, 600 plus, although this was not happening to my current center that I operate out of, But we saw a footfall drop in malls like Select, in malls like DLF, Promenade. So anybody who is little more sensitive and they come from a little privileged section that they could let go not going to a mall for 2 weeks can hamper the health of the mall. So we are making sure that we are listening and we are responding to you. So average dwell time in Delhi is approx 4 hours. So we are giving you more reasons that you can come, just be with us, spend more time.
Yeah.
So हो सकता है कि मैं 10 लोगों में से 5 को बुला पाऊँ, लेकिन मैं 5 से उतना dwell time निकलवाऊंगा जितना 8 निकालते. So I am giving them a reason to come to me in those severe conditions when the AQI hits above the roof, 500 plus hit kar raha hai. So you need to give those reasons for at least some of them to walk in, like we all did in COVID. People were not willing to come to malls. It is a closed space. Cross ventilation is not there, and we heard everything possible. But we all stood by that, and as soon as the government allowed us, we opened all our gates, and people came in.
Perfect. Thank you. Moving on to, Gaurav, we just wanted to understand, on the same note, while shopping centers is a much bigger ecosystem in a certain way, when we are looking at our own space, when the consumer walks in, is there anything that we are doing to try and personalize his experience or understand that how is it that I engage him further so that, there's more repeat? Obviously, the food speaks for itself. But apart from that, what is it that, Popeyes is thinking of today or doing already that could resonate with the consumer?
Thank you, Sakshi. So when we started about 2 years back, one of the things which we, as Jubilant, also pride ourselves in is the digital first experience. So on day one, our stores opened with what we have now across every store is called a self-ordering kiosk. Its success is seriously very good. And I'll tell you why. Because it has multiple benefits for consumers. So today's consumer, which is what we call as millennials and Gen Zs, they want the power in their hand. Right? So an upsell at a point of sale is understood by consumers. And they already feel, with their guards up. Giving a self-ordering kiosk gives the power for the consumer to choose. It helped us decongest lines, queues in the stores. And we started with in-stores self-ordering kiosk, and then we did have a lot of debates with a lot of partners here saying, because it does occupy, when you put it in a mall store, it does occupy a little bit store facing or the mall, food court area. But what we've seen is it actually translates into much better experience because your queues are smaller. You have POS, and you can replicate them multiple times. As a brand, you can replicate them any day. So if I think it is creating a congestion, I can add one more of them without much expenditure on operational costs. The other thing is understanding the consumer journey. When you come to a new place to buy food, you want two things. You want a non-intrusive experience, but you also want a guided experience to make the choice. You want to know what all is available here. And the power of an self-ordering kiosk, as we call it, SOK, gives us a lot of data as to what people are browsing. Are the consumer journeys leading them to the right places? And so we made changes in the self-ordering kiosk to make sure. We've already changed the interface twice in the last 2 years to make it much better and make the browsing better, make sure that the flagship products stand out better, make sure that the consumers can see the offers better. And then it gives the power of choice to the consumer. That's the first thing that they need. It is interesting because with technology comes a little bit of advantage. You use it the wrong way, like as with any other technology, it can also be a problem. Self-ordering kiosk, while it's an advantage, can also lead to issues like what we see in meeting rooms with the laptops not connecting with projectors can also happen because it's a technology, right? It can fail. We also saw that while we do a lot of research in putting up a kiosk and seeing what should be the flow of menu in this, there was a change which we were trying to make to improvise the menu flow. And it did. But very starkly, we saw the average order value dropping, and almost as much as by 50 to 60 rupees, which was 10 to 20%. And so we couldn't understand, but then the team got into it, observed what was happening, and then they corrected it over a period of a week or so. But the interesting thing I'm saying is it's while you improve experience with technology, you have to be, as everyone has talked about, be very, 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 observant of the customers, understand the customer needs, and check each of these things. I do think that sometimes we end up using technology for the heck of it and not bringing it benefit to consumers. And that is very much possible when you're using technology. In this case, we've been at top of it, so we've been able to use it to give consumers a much better experience.
No, I completely agree. I think, use of technology, if over this thing, then it becomes really complicated for the consumer. But self-checkout kiosks is a must. I think, self-ordering kiosks. Because I just feel when you go into an environment where you want to quickly order and sit, because also, you want to get your table, etc. So I think it just makes the consumer also feel very empowered. So I think that empowering makes them feel happier in a certain way. So I think that's definitely the need of the hour. And I'm sure all the developers here are listening to you to be more open-minded to give you those spaces in their food courts. Arun, over to you to try and understand something that you implemented which resonated with the consumer and created more, consumer engagement within your stores.
Yes, we've done. So I'll share a certain change of process that we've internally changed in our system to make the customer experience better at our stores.
Arun, we can't hear you too
Sure.
well. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Yes. So at Wildcraft, we make products that are meant to accompany you on your adventures in the outdoors when you step out. So we know by the nature of the product being outdoor, it is at times subjected to a lot of abuse, which we obviously have no control over, where the customer uses, under what weather conditions, in what terrains they take them. So even though we offer them a 5-year warranty for them to bring it back to us at any point of time if they have any difficulty with it. So over those 1800 days, people do come back to us at times with certain queries about certain functioning of the products, or say problems can happen anytime, even in the best of products. So being a technical product with a lot of technical features, we had always had a process of sending the product back to our head office, a customer service team which excels in product understanding used to analyze them, and then share a resolution with the customer based on the appropriate type of the product and what situation it was in. Not the best of processes, we realized, because it was a time-consuming process. It used to lead to dissonance among customers at times when the time taken for resolution used to be passing a certain threshold. So what we did was we internally discussed and we said let's cut down the time that we taking to give a resolution to the customers. We trained our entire front-end staff and we empowered them to take those decisions on the shop floor, basis their understanding of the usage of the product. Has it been used within the guidelines that we also tell customers about? Or is it a genuine case of a certain wear and tear? Can it be resolved by us? And does it follow within the guidelines of the customer service team that has been laid down? So by that, what has happened is when people take shop floor decisions, they are representing a brand. The timeline that we used to see taken to resolve a certain matter has shrunk significantly. Our SLAs, which used to be somewhere hovering around, if I have to give a number, around 85% adherence, have come to 96, 97% adherence now. And the whole sheer experience of a customer at the shop floor has improved so much that it also leads for them to come back to our stores. Because we very strongly feel that problems can happen anytime, even with the best of the products, but one has to stand by your product and your commitments to the customer, because those guys cannot lose trust in the brand, because that's once lost, doesn't come back again easily. So that's something we've changed to ensure that our customers do not face any troubles with our products or with our service levels. And the sales staff also are happier on the shop floor and they have a certain level of trust and confidence in the brand reinforced. So I'll underline that one word. What we did was empower the front-end guys for a better service delivery at the shop floor to the customer, because these are the guys who are actually representing you in front of the customer. For them, it's Wildcraft is the guy standing on the shop floor, nobody else. So in line with what Ravinder just said, knowing your customer, so that's where actually the whole thing came out from, knowing what he would do with our product, knowing what he expects from the brand, knowing what he expects the brand to stand for, quality, trust, service, etc., is what made us change this stance of empowering our front-end guys to take those calls by themselves, and hence making the brand more relevant to the customers and making them come back to us for their purchases time and again.
Understood. No, I definitely feel that, in today's time and the kind of product profile that you have and the consumer profile that you have, I think, a lot of times you want solutions and you're so passionate about the product because, again, it's very technology driven.
Yeah.
So I think, at least some sort of information with the staff definitely helps to try and better the consumer experience. One more question. How have you seen the trend pre-pandemic, post-pandemic in terms of outdoors? Just a little off the topic.
So I think it has changed drastically post-pandemic. People were held captive in their houses for almost 2 years. I think they've taken to outdoors like never seen before. Uh, they travel extensively now. Even the awareness about, I think, health and your personal health, etc., of moving towards an active lifestyle has changed significantly. So we've seen people traveling a lot. We've seen people coming to us more than before. We've seen the inclination towards adopting an active, healthy lifestyle much more. And no better place than outdoors to catch a fresh breath of air, I think, than being in the city. So we've seen a significant change in the outlook towards outdoors and travels post-pandemic.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Moving on to you, Parag, we're still on the consumer experience and personalization journey. And I don't think there's anybody better than you who can answer that in that panel because, jewelry is something which is so personalized, which is so, unique to everybody. So how is it that, being a brand which has got multiple stores, how is it that we can still ensure that with the consumer who comes in?
Definitely, as you said, the category what we are into is more of very specific nowadays. And as the time is changing and we want the consumer who have been into the gold move to the diamonds because we're in the diamond category. And we have seen that every woman in herself is a designer, So that's how with the help of technology, where we have made a facility where they can design their own ring or a necklace, which gives them edge over the people. And with that also in the store, what we have tried to do is have kept a side where kiosk kind of things we have placed with the technology where she can play around, because now the consumer is very different what it was. And even the format has changed. So initially the diamond was being seen as a people of 50, 40 plus, but now the trend is changing and the new generation also wants that. So what we have done is change the entire focus from, let's say, a locker jewelry to a drawer jewelry, So with this changing trend, this people wants a daily wear, and you know how they want each one with the different kind of settings. And again, if you say, हमारे में तो था वो तन्मन्या बोलते थे मंगलसूत्र, which has changed to वैसे wedding band, that was never before. It was not a trend. So they can select with the technology of their style because now everything is access to them with the technology. People sitting here, not here in Bombay, but let's say any part of India can access to the world with the social media. And she or he aims to have that for a girlfriend or a wife, So that technology has always been edged to us, where because generally jewelry you are into the high street or bus look, but now you are changing into the mall. And the mall consumer are completely different. And they are tech savvy, they know each and everything, they know the world. So we are trying to keep that edge with the consumer, the current trend.
So, just on the same note, there are two formats that you're currently running, with one which is more mall friendly and one which is more high street friendly. So just understanding how are the two profiles of consumers different, and what is the person who's coming? Is the person who's coming into the mall more drawer jewelry and the one on the high street more locker jewelry, or what is it like?
Trend is changing to more of particularly where Kisna operates is daily wear and the fashion type of jewelry, of diamond-studded jewelry. And when people the people have never thought of diamond as a fashion in India. So exporting over the years, that the experience what we have over the international, what we have bought here is the same. And the help of social media, which people are upgrading themselves, knowing the designs of the westernized country, and also want that design. So they have an aspiration to that kind of design over the times. So we definitely have a different set of designs format in the mall, because there's more of young crowd, and to pull in that, the ambience of the mall has to be a little bit different than that conventional, traditional jewelers, where badi chair hoti thi, and they want that personalization. But when it comes to the people in the mall, they don't want very much personalization, but they want to be very free on their own. So that's how you place the kiosk where they can, play around, and then definitely they'll come back to the store staff and get some information. But initially they want their time for themselves, browse. उनको पूछना नहीं घड़ी घड़ी इसका क्या है उसका क्या है, price wise नहीं पूछना है, and all things has to be listed out. कि इसमें what are the possibilities of different colors, size, multiple things. So definitely both the customers are different. But when we say a brand Kisna, we want that because we are operating both, part. And still jewelry, little part of them is a family decision. Not everything, it's not shifted completely like an apparel. There you don't need to ask to a family, but because वो बात हो 5 लाख रुपए की या 5,000 की, एक बार ऐसा होता है कि family को पूछ ले, So then there is an influencer, a family. So we are trying to, match the gap between both of the young and the people elderly in the.
No, I think that's definitely very interesting because, I think I completely agree. The fun element in the mall for somebody who walks in and again feels very empowered that they can design a ring on their own. It's a lot of fun, and whatever said and done, Indians will always have the love for jewelry. So I think it definitely empowers them to take, so one of the thing that I'm hearing, which is resonating as a theme on the entire panel, is empowerment. So it may be either of the staff on the floor or it may be of your consumers. That's definitely leading to higher engagement. Madhav, moving on to you, obviously, as soon as a consumer moves in, you're the one who plays the most pivotal role to really help them guide, and, that's the starting part of the entire journey of the consumer into a shopping environment. So how is it that we're thinking about improving that engagement further?
Yeah. So look at.
We can't hear you so well, man.
Can you hear me? Okay. So if you talk about retailers or especially the mall developers, more or less doing their best, what they need to do, their footfall, their customer engagement, etc. But the way that technology is now allowing you to move forward is that how do we engage customer better? How do we make sure that customer is satisfied who has walked in and he got what he wanted or she wanted, and then make sure that experience is good and memorable. And in order to do that, today you're talking about, people said loyalty programs, analyzing their customer behavior, etc. But on top of that now, the AI which is coming into picture, the AI is going to take over everybody's part. Like AI is going to be there for malls, for a retailer, for a shopper. If you're talking about a shopper, what we are looking at it is a digital avatar of a shopper, of understanding their likes, dislikes. Your smartphone understands what your likes, dislikes, and keeps you abreast, and then guides you to the particular places what you want, and you have a seamless experience. And this part of the AI which is coming into and enabling us, technology is available today, and you can make use of it. And then you see that how this experience is allowing the customers to come back to you. See, that's the coming back to you again. That is a key mantra, right?
Yeah.
For you to be successful. And that's what we have seen it. But otherwise, most of the shopping malls have the same mix of retailers, food courts, multiplexes, all those things more or less same. But some of them are really creative, making promotional programs, campaigns, but still, they still don't know the customer who are there. And what today's technology is allowing them is to do that. Shopping mall developers also can know the end B2C customer. And that's what technology is driving it. Please reach out to us. We will enable it. Right?
Perfect. So, we're talking about technology. Just staying on the same point, Ashish, anything that you feel that, Pacific as a developer has done of recent to integrate technology into customer experience?
In terms of technologies, we have been doing all those footfall tracking systems, in terms of at the valet parking, we do all those. You pay through the WhatsApp app only, and then your car will be ready as soon as you get out of the mall. So all those small nuances you have to keep function for your customers. Drop the queue app at the food court. All those small things you have to keep doing at the operation level.
So, and again, while we are with you, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, which is, again, I think very, very critical when it comes to, say, large shopping centers, is on, and a quick view, we're going to be short on time, is on international brands, Ashish. Like, I think all of us keep looking forward to the brands that are entering the country. We feel that everyone wants a flagship store whenever the brand is, opening. How much do you think is the longevity of that launch or that brand as per you, in the shopping centers that you have leased in and are currently leasing in?
Fortunately, I've been elementary enough to, have a debut of a brand like Uniqlo with you and Paul at an Indian level. So, but, there would be brands who will do well in the country, which the brands who do well in other countries may not do well in India. There would be many success stories also, there would be many failure stories also. It all depends how you as a BD team or the leasing team, you're dynamic enough to understand the longevity of the brand, if they're adding value to the customers that you're serving. A brand may not work in South Delhi or may work in West Delhi also. So all those stuff you need to, be aware of. All about flagships, of course, there are many examples wherein we have really given a small store like Apple Store, 1,000 square feet. We used to do a business of 1 crore. We have given 3,000 square feet now, and now they're touching 10 crores a month. So that kind of success story is also there in terms of flagships. We are expanding the size of Nike also, making it a new format. We are doubling the size of Zara, Decathlon. All those stuff is important. While my mall is small, but then I have to keep the space sufficient for my other retailers. But then I should know what brand can bring that value if I increase the size or make them flagship. So that story is also important.
So I think what I'm picking up is that it's just not about leasing it the first time. It's about ensuring that you're looking at their performance and ensuring that they remain fresh. Ravinder, over to you to answer that. You've leased a mall a few years back. You're at it even now, and you're leasing a new mall.
Yeah, so we launched our mall right before COVID. So I still remember once the first lockdown got over, there were discussions wherein, one, I was doing a discussion of restructuring. I'm still filling my mall with fresh transactions, and there are people who are willing to vacate. So we really literally wore 3 different hats, understanding the retailer's requirement. And in the second lockdown, there were 5 of my brands who doubled their area. So which was Puma, Skechers, Athleisure, and other people. Apple was also one of them. So flexibility in the center infra should always be there. Today, brands are expanding and contracting every 6, 8 months, 10 months. So when we did Vegas, Levi's was 1,800. As we were nearing opening, they were 3,000. Today, as we talk, they are 10,000. So if we are not able to meet to their requirements, we might miss the fun of hosting the best stores. Then we will have Levi's, but we will not have the flagships of those brands. And similar is the case of a lot of brands. So the list will go on.
So, with brands like Popeyes entering the market, it's not easy, Gaurav,
So
to kind of...
Popeyes being very, very different requirements. So changing anything with respect to a food court will always be challenging. And especially with their size, they don't fit into a regular counter. They would have, their CFN requirements are very specific, their drain requirements are very specific. And because now they're in their initial days of launch, they would need A+ locations because they want to establish themselves, because they know that their food is good, their Indian partners are good. It is just that knocking the right brand, right door will make them take that ladder what BK did in 8 years back. So nobody thought of that there is one more burger brand which could compete with or which could coexist with McD. So similarly, we see one more brand coming in, fantastic food, fantastic operations, and amazing team that they are working in with. So we are also trying, जहाँ जहाँ पर हो पा रहा है वहाँ कर रहे हैं, जहाँ कर सकते हैं अभी changes वहाँ वो भी कर रहे हैं. So we are happy that we hosted the first Popeyes in North India for them. And I have a friend of mine who hosted them first in Delhi NCR. So the intent is there to have them. So we are happy hosting a lot of brands who are coming into India. And if we are on their priority list, we also do our best to fit them in.
Nitin, how successful have we been to churn and to try and get some new brands in the portfolio?
As I said, Sakshi, I've been looking at the market from the youngsters' point of view. What I've realized is when we've been studying youngsters, that they have very limited patience. The online has given them a portfolio that, whether it's an international brand or a national player or a newcomer, they have very little patience to wait for deliverables to happen. The D2C is really out here, and they're going to stay for long. So what we've done with churns is we've done what he did with one D2C. I've given 8. I have 8 D2C stores with my mall, in one of my malls. And by today evening, I'm adding 2 more. I just blocked a deal, so I'll have 10, because that's what the youth want today. They don't have a patience to wait कि नया trend आने में 15 दिन लगेगा, 40 दिन लगेगा. The shoe will be delivered in 6 months. They want clothes lines which are coming in next 10 days on the floor. So you're reading them, understanding them, and we have to be there because they're the new guys who have the buying power, and they're going to be having a buying power for next a decade or so. So if we can hit the nail today on the head rightly, we are safe for the next decade plus. That's a learning from COVID that online and D2C is going to work for us.
No, but D2C here to stay means I think some of these brands really resonate with young or old consumers or whichever age group. But I really feel like, consumers spend a lot of time browsing the products that they offer, how they offer them, and then backed with data, they're technology retailers more than just product retailers in a certain way.
They are
right?
good. At times, they will teach you about your own product and your mall saying, boss, you're doing right or wrong. This is what your mall clientele needs, and this is what they're barking on the wrong tree. So you get to learn a lot from them for making your own churns accordingly. And then, of course, we have your teams to help us out, get them in.
Thank you. Sunil, just, your closing remark on how to manage churn in a mall that's so successful and how difficult is it?
A very, very sensitive issue, but an important one. Difficult to manage churn. I think churn is purely based on 2 things. One is fact and one is relationship. First, relationship is more important, then facts come in. If a retailer is actually not adding to the overall ecosystem, I think it is important for every one of us to understand that it's not about one retailer or one tenant. It's about the larger ecosystem. If there are 2 or 3 rotten apples, they will spoil the full basket. So it's a journey which you have to take them through and make them understand that it's for the bigger ecosystem. And in the ecosystem, if it works, it works. If it does not work, it's nothing personal that you have against anybody. It's to ensure that the ecosystem and everybody lives happily. That's where it is. And that's, I think, nobody has a formula how to churn. Every mall has its different set of problems and benefits, but it's a journey that everybody has to do to stay relevant.
So I think just on that note, Sunil, I think it's an ecosystem in which everyone needs to survive and thrive together. Yes. And Gaurav, what is it that we would want to ask of these developers today to help us thrive better? One closing remark from all the retailers on that.
So I think, obviously, because Ravinder has already talked about it, as a head of Popeyes, I'll ask for space. But, I completely agree to the point which Sunil made. You have to understand the ecosystem. And, India is a country which is 14% of the world's population, is the largest market for all the brands in the world. But if you go and dig, it is also the biggest graveyard of many global brands. There are many brands which have come in and wound up and went back. The reason is that the global models don't work in India. And India is not one country. It is many countries. And I think when we open stores of Popeyes, we've seen similarly, like as a consumer, you would probably see it's a big mall. Our performance could vary across many different malls. What varies is the customer cohorts that visit there. So a mall may attract a set of customers which are going there because it's the equivalent of international visit to them. Because the 35 rupees burger that they eat is their equivalent of, the international trip that they make. That's their global experience. And a mall could also be having people who are looking at the Pradas and the Guccis of the world. So I think it is for us to work as a partner, understanding what's the mall cohort and tweaking our products and offerings in line with what's the demand of the customer ultimately. And that's when we all will be successful together.
No, I think very well said. Arun, your thoughts on one ask from the esteemed developers that we have here today.
So while I am also in alignment with what I think what the point that was shared of creating a sensible ecosystem for brands to thrive together, but I'll just add another dimension to I think what we were talking about, saying the country today is becoming younger day by day. I think the country is going online more than ever they've been, which makes it all the more easier for portals to go aggressive on certain days on creating big sale events, because that makes it more easier for customers to have access to offers, have access to sale days, etc., which is slightly difficult to do in an offline ecosystem to create it. I think that is something which I would leave it on the table as a point that we need to probably create more of such successful events offline, which also doesn't take away the chunk of people who are coming, making that effort to come to the malls or come to certain organized high streets. And I think, so that's one point. I think we should collectively try to create more events, more attractive events to make people come to the malls and experience the plethora of brands that are available there than staying at home and doing the same online. So that's one point I would say.
Parag?
I was thinking to say before closing, definitely see, there's always a challenge for the malls to bring in the people. But when we see a category like diamond, so what we see is we like to have the people around, the same set of people, jewelers around very nearby, because when the people, the consumers coming to the mall never had the intention only to buy the jewelry. They never come to buy the jewelry in the mall. It's a spontaneous decision where they take it very fast. So once upon they have a cluster of people sitting around, they are definitely to change their mind just to go in to say, look what it is about, because it's not like every day buying a jewelry. So there are very small set of people out of the many people coming to the mall. There is very small niche of people who would like to go to and see and feel of it. First they need to see and feel, and then only they can transform into the sales. So it's always what is been looking is like making a cluster of it. I mean, if you see in the high street, that's always a cluster in this category as far as jewelry is concerned. And basically diamond, because you want people to make up their mind. So once they see 1, 2, 3, then it may help us to see, then change their mind, and at least to have a walk into it first and then feel the experience. That's what comes to us. But bringing in more people to the mall and then to the store is what the challenge definitely would look to.
So I think that's something that is definitely food for thought. Final comments from you, Madhav. Anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah. I think, every panel member has expressed it very rightly.
We can't hear you too well.
Hello? Yeah. There is no fixed formula for the successful revenue increase or generation. It's all experience. of individual consumer or retailer or shop. Everybody talks about personalization, hyper-personalization. Now we need to think about what next. How do we use the best use of the technology, the smartphones in each and everybody's hands, how to make use of those, and then give that seamless experience to the consumer's point of view, and how the mall management understands that experience to keep to compete with the high street retailers better in terms of their the CAMs and cost of reduction of operation, etc. And that's where the technology is helping us. And we need to look into that kind of technology use. And that is what I recommend.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I would just like to say, so just to summarize, I think we've come up with some really good points today. It's an ecosystem where everyone needs to survive and thrive. We need to look at some D2C brands. We need to see how to incorporate technology better for consumer engagement and revenue maximization. And our developers here need to keep churning spaces to make spaces for newer brands, not only international brands. We have some fantastic brands coming out of the country, so we need to see everyone for their merit and make spaces for them. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Really appreciate you taking our time, and to the audience. Thank you so much. Thank you.